Joining us now is the Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's a member of the House Oversight Committee. She's a civil rights attorney. She's probably the only person more steamed about this than I am, because you've seen it in real life and up close. I don't understand. When somebody says, why would you make it that easy to vote? I spend time in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, where they make it hard to vote. You got to return your thing and put it in an envelope and sign both people. Why? This is all unnecessary.
You know why. I don't know why you're pretending you don't know what's going on. We know that the Republicans are lacking in any substance. We know that we are supposed to be policy makers, but when it comes down to time to actually make good policy, they don't have any good policy ideas. So how do you stay in power? You don't stay in power simply because you are actually trying to empower people and you are trying to make sure that their lives are better. You stay in power just by cheating. And so that's essentially what we have, especially in the state of Texas. You know, it's so rich that they wanted to claim fraud. But when you look around, the only fraudsters that I see are within the Republican Party. Let's talk about George Santos. If we really care about fraud, then we definitely would make sure that he wasn't still sitting in the U.S. House. We also saw what recently happened this week in the Texas House with one of my freshman colleagues who was expelled, the first one that was expelled since 1927. You know why? Because he pretended that he was this man of family values. He was a former youth minister, yet he got caught up because he was doing sexual predatory things, kind of like the fraudster and sexual predator that we know as Trump. So, you know, they don't care about fraud. What they care about is cheating to win. Let's
talk about, if we're unpacking everything, let's do it. We're talking about these billionaire-backed advocacy groups. Why are billionaires backing the idea that you make it harder for people to vote? What's the connection to you?
Oh, this is very simple to me. You know, we're having the debt ceiling fight right now, right? The president has laid out his budget. In that budget, it actually would reduce our deficit by $3 trillion, right? But that's without cutting Medicaid. That's without cutting Medicare, Social Security, SNAP benefits, WIC. It's without doing those things and also making sure that we still provide for our veterans. But at the same time, those billionaires that are paying an effective tax rate of 8%, well, they would start paying their fair share. Because the last time I checked, when I look at my paycheck, I'm not paying 8%. I would love to, but I'm not. Right. And so we know that the middle class, we know that the lower socioeconomic struggling folk, we are actually enduring the brunt of the responsibility in this society. And so this is just about them making sure that they continue to stay on top, continue to make more and more money while the rest of us struggle.
Meanwhile, these things like voting rights, things like trans rights, they're becoming a really important focus of the Republican Party. It strikes me because they can be. It strikes me that targeting trans kids is just easy. It's just an easy thing to do. You kick somebody while you can.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Most people are emotional, right? When you decide who you're going to vote for, it's who makes you feel good. It's who you like. It's who understands you or who riles you up, whether they're getting you angry or whether they make you happy, right? And so this is them saying, you know what? Because we still have no policies, let's get angry about this thing over here. But I have knocked doors, not just in Texas. I've knocked doors in Wisconsin. I've knocked doors in Georgia. And let me tell you, I have never knocked a door and somebody said, you know, those little trans kids, we got a problem with them. What you gonna do about that? That is not a real thing. That is a thing that they make up.
Congresswoman, I want to first of all thank you. You were on my show, and I wasn't even on my show last weekend, so I appreciate that. You did mention the budget situation, the debt ceiling. I have to ask you this question. There apparently are negotiations going on, and apparently Kevin McCarthy is going to be talking to President Biden about this. Can Kevin McCarthy even make a deal, or is he sort of stuck with these sort of that chaos part of his party that just doesn't want to make a deal?
No, you know, listen, everybody saw, the entire world saw how hard it was for him to get his precious speakership in the first place. And we know that it's hanging in the balance by a thread. And unfortunately, this is no way to govern. And so seemingly he cares more about his title than he cares about the people of the United States. And that's a problem. And so, no, I don't know that McCarthy really has the gumption to do what is right. We know that this debt ceiling was raised 3 times not once, not twice, but 3 times under Trump. We also know that 25% of the bills that have been piled up, they were piled up in 4 years under one president. That's President Trump. So right now, he's telling us, don't pay my bills, but you were the one that created the debt. That is problematic.